Hobgoblins and witches and things that go bump in the night.
Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Evil Dread. I'm Lynn.
And I'm Wyatt.
And Wyatt has a really bad cold, so he may sound like Tom Waits or something, but don't be fooled, it's just Wyatt.
It swings wildly from Tom Waits to going through the puberty motions.
Ew.
You have been around me and you've heard my voice crack this weekend.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't make a huge note of it.
Oh no, you did. It was over dinner and you just looked at me.
In the moment I did, but I didn't even recall it until now. So you're being a little paranoid, it's okay. No one's judging you and your 14-year-old boy voice.
I appreciate that.
Okay, so this week we are doing our Stranger Things recap show. It's the week after Halloween.
So it's been 1 week since it's been out on Netflix.
It's been 1 week. Finally, I can do my Bare Naked Ladies.
Surprise! It's been a Bare Naked Ladies podcast all along.
I don't know any of the other lyrics. I'm sorry.
It's been quite a while. Well,
okay.
So it's been 1 week, and I assume everyone has binge watched it all by now.
If not, get it together.
What are you doing?
What do you do?
Are you even
have
a true
personal
millennial?
Friends or a significant other?
It's
that you hang out
it's
with?
like these people have lives and
do you not
school.
Study film constantly and so just consume media at an alarming rate?
Just all to intake.
Yep. So anyway, we're gonna talk about Stranger Things season 2 today. All of our likes and dislikes and the ups and downs. I mean, we've been talking about it for a week and a half, but we're also gonna talk about Thor 3, Thor Ragnarok, which we saw yesterday at the time of this recording, and it's lit. So that's
it was very good.
Say.
Taika Waititi once again.
Those Jeff Goldblum dreams I have are always really good omens. Always a good day follows one of my Jeff dreams.
I feel like they are growing in power.
I agree. There's him dreams and then other dreams that are bad omens. But he keeps popping up and I love it. Anyway, so what are your thoughts about season 2 of Stranger Things?
Well, overall, I'm very pleased with it. I feel like there was only one real misstep this whole season.
Episode 7?
Yeah.
I mean, that's kind of the consensus around the net.
The net agrees with us that there's...
Whenever I say the net, I think I'm in the movie Hackers.
Take it to the web.
I would clearly be Matthew Lillard in that movie.
Clearly.
And you would be Johnny Lee Miller.
Yes.
Okay. Anyway, so misstep. Why do you think?
Like you all, most of you know. I'm assuming you know. In season 2, there's an episode near the end of the season as things are wildly ramping up.
Oh my god! They cut from the most intense plot point in the middle of it, right before shit gets real. To a whole episode focused only on 11.
Where nothing is achieved. There's no real...
I think it's character development, which is necessary. I don't think we needed a whole episode of it. I think it could have been a B-plot.
And I think character development can also move the plot forward. Yeah. This didn't.
I read... Okay, so basically 11 goes to Chicago and meets up with Kali, who was number 8 at the Hawkins lab where they were both experimented on.
And they have their own Orphan Black episode.
Okay. I didn't watch that show.
Neither did I, but that was Al's review, and I trust her.
Okay, well, they did say sister a lot, but so Kali has a gang of ne'er-do-wells in Chicago, and they all dress amazingly. It's very Repo Man meets Return of the Living Dead.
I
lit.
Hated all of them.
Excuse me?
So much.
They looked great.
They were the most try-hard TM punks ever.
I know, but I have a soft spot for 80s punk fashion. If you couldn't tell from everything about me, I guess. But I love it. I don't know. But they had names like Crash and like Trash. like, like Slime and Sludge or whatever.
Pretty much. Like, that whole episode, like, the world of Hawkins is...
That's Stranger Things.
Right, it's...
That's it. It's very much tied to that town.
And everything feels like... Even though everything feels like kind of a reference to the 80s, it all feels done with, like, love, and everything feels relatively grounded.
Yes.
And then all of a sudden, there's these, like, cliche punks.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And it was just so jarring.
It's like when Twin Peaks came back and we didn't get to see Twin Peaks for like most of it.
Yeah.
It's like that's what it is, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Like all of the characters are like I love a good small town with a bunch of weirdos story.
And a mystery lurking under
Yeah,
everything.
yeah. It's the best. And I and it feels like a real town also, which is something that like world building is done pretty well on this show. Not the best it's ever been, like, which I would say like Gilmore Girls or something like that, where you know exactly what this town is and where everything is and who's in it. But Hawkins is like pretty much there for me.
Yeah. So that's why it was so jarring to be suddenly kind of ripped away from the scope of just a small town.
Mm-hmm.
And now we're in a big city.
Well, and it happened right off the bat, first episode we see them.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, oh, this is gonna be a season-long thing, ain't it? But
yeah, they introduced 8 at the very beginning of the season, and I think if they had been woven in
a little bit more,
yeah,
then
it would have been less jarring.
Well, okay, so I saw today, actually, just scrolling around, that it was like an article called like In Defense of Episode 7. And it made a good point that I really liked, and it was before 11 could defeat the monster, she had to know that she wasn't one. So she had to realize that she's not just going to kill people for revenge, which is important.
That is.
I don't think it should have been a whole episode.
I also think it should have come, the realization should have come either from like just within her or because of people that like she loved.
Okay. So if she, what, like, not to rewrite the show or whatever, but could that have been done better by like her going to the lab and like being confronted by one of the people that hurt her, and then them all having
maybe, or maybe like I would have loved to have seen Hopper, like, who is amazing in this season.
My husband. Yeah.
Like, I would have loved for him to have given her a real face-to-face apology.
Yeah.
And for that to
be the kicker.
Mm-hmm. Or even Winona's character to show, like, a conscious mother figure to her.
Yes, not to replace the old one, but to be like, you're not alone.
Yeah.
You know, all that. Yeah, I think that would have been better.
That would have been a great, like, women encouraging women moment.
# Suffer Brothers. Listen to us. We know.
What?
Hire us to write. People are calling the Duffer Brothers the Suffer Brothers, which is really funny.
What?
Because they, like, put our children through so much in that show.
That's true.
That's it.
# Justice for Mew Mew.
It was just Muse?
The nickname was Mew Mew.
Okay, Jesus Christ. All right. So yeah, episode 7, was pretty divisive, but we can come back to it if you want.
Really,
you want to start at the beginning?
We can, but I mean, really, that's my only nitpick about this season. What about you? Any like?
I think it was a great continuation of the show. Like, it picks up basically almost a year after the events of the first season, which did have me thinking, was everything just chill for like 11 calendar months? And then everything gets like fucked up again for
Probably.
I'm like, ooh, it's Halloween time. Let's have Will just freak out and like this shadow monster emerge from the ether or whatever. I'm like, okay, so he was fine through like spring and summer, and then I don't know.
Maybe it's just the cooling of the temperature.
Yeah, that didn't really track with me, but I mean, it makes sense. It's not a huge thing. Like, what is there and the plot that's there, I liked a lot. Do you want to go character by character and talk about that?
I would love that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Let's see. The character that my love to hate character this season is Max's brother,
Billy.
Billy.
I have a lot of thoughts about Billy.
Well, I don't because they can be summed up with
I hate him.
I hate him,
Mhm.
but he was a great like human villain that wasn't involved in like the greater
Yeah,
conspiracy.
that's what they said. Like that stupid Beyond Stranger Things show that came on immediately after on Netflix. Like,
Did you watch it?
I watched like 10 minutes of it because I couldn't be bothered to like change the
Is it
channel.
fun? Is it
Whatever.
You don't think it's any good?
It's okay. I mean, I'm just not. I don't know. I'm not that diehard of a fan. Like I enjoy it, but
I do love Jim Rash though.
yeah, he hosts it, and there is a really cool moment that I'll talk about later. But they said that they wanted a human antagonist that was just like, oh, you're in high school in the 80s? Let's have like an asshole.
Let's have a Lost Boys archetype.
Oh my god, he is so Michael from the Lost Boys. I knew that immediately once they released the promos. I'm like, he got the one earring, he has like the gross curly mullet. It's crazy.
As soon as Al and I started watching, we were both like, this seems like a lot of it checks a lot of Lynn's boxes.
So you were expecting me to go hard for Billy?
I was.
Stan Billy?
Were we wrong?
I was prepared to, and then he's abusive to his sister, and he's a racist piece of shit.
He's a monster. I mean,
I hate him.
He's not like It Bullies level.
No, he isn't like stabbing people in the stomach or anything.
Carving names on kids' stomachs.
But he's just so cruel to his sister and so unpleasant. Like, there was some pretty chill sexual tension between him and Steve, though. Just because, come on. Come on. Steve was not here for it, obviously. But there's, like, he's one of those bullies that, like...
I fully believe he's bi.
Yeah, he's one of those bullies that, like, it goes into, like... flirting.
He was definitely flirting with Steve in the showers.
Yeah, and like when they're playing basketball and he's like, come on, who's King Steve? I heard so much about you, show me. And I'm like, ah!
His dad is awful.
Okay, so the entirety of the season, you're like, why is Max and Billy here?
Mm-hmm.
Like, Max is chill, I like her a lot. She's a cool new addition to the gang. But I'm like, why is Billy here? He's not doing anything for plot, blah, blah, blah. He's just an asshole with no reasoning behind it. And then I fully expected him to get redeemed. Not really. At the very end of the season, there's a scene with him and his dad, and Max is his stepsister, and his dad beats on him, and it's terrible. And so you realize that his dad is abusive towards him and violent, but... I was talking to my mom about this. There's things, both in real life and in fiction, where I think something can be a reason, but it's not an excuse.
Right.
Things can be, it can be both.
Like, just because you're treated horribly doesn't give you a right to treat other people
like, that's
horribly.
a reason why you're like this.
Yeah.
Because you haven't, been treated well. But it's not an excuse to, tell your little sister to not hang out with a black kid around town without saying he's black. There was a weird vein of racism there.
It felt like, because I feel like Stranger Things is more marketed towards like a younger
it's for
group,
kids.
that they couldn't go as hard with the racism.
I mean, yeah, I think it could have been. It was... to the point where I'm like, well, what does he know about Lucas? Like, what? Like, did he find something out or whatever? And then by the end, I was like, I guess not. I guess he's just a racist piece of shit who doesn't want his sister hanging out with the black kid in town.
Yeah.
Just terrible. Like, no, your abusive dad doesn't make you, like, a racist prick. Okay? No.
So, yeah, the new bully on the block. I thought he was a pretty good character.
Well, Max gets revenge towards the end.
I like that Max got that moment.
Me too.
I mean, as happy as I would have been to have seen Steve knock him out, I'm glad that Max was given her own agency.
Yeah.
And I've seen a lot of people complain about Max just like that she doesn't have enough to do, and I kind of
Mhm.
wish she did have more to do.
I agree.
But I still overall like her character.
Yeah, I think she's like. There's such a danger in that show to have it be like Ella's the only girl and she's this amazing, like, manic pixie dream demon child
Yeah.
with, like, demonic superpowers or whatever. But it's like, no, there can be another girl in this gang and she's cool and she's not, like, she's not I'm not like other girls. She really, like, admires Eleven and what they've told her about her, and so it doesn't want to be a competition, even though they treat it as such, especially Mike.
I was afraid that they were going to go into a love triangle, but they didn't.
Yeah.
I was very grateful.
Yeah.
I just remembered the other thing that I really don't like about the season.
Okay.
Nancy and Jonathan.
Oh, at the beginning you're like, I liked it all, and then you're like, wait, one thing, and then no, another thing.
One thing more.
Nancy and Jonathan, they're so boring.
The one a Tumblr post I saw floating around that I deeply relate to. Season 1, Nancy deserves better than Steve.
Mhm.
Season 2, Steve deserves better than Nancy.
It's absolutely true. Yeah, Nancy is just, I mean, I understand. I'm glad that they didn't let Barb off the hook, where it was just like, oh, everyone forgot about her and it's fine or whatever.
Yeah, Barb got her justice.
Well, kind of. But I'm glad we saw Nancy dealing with guilt, because that's an interesting, compelling character arc. However, her taking it out on Steve was in a really negative way. Also, okay, so there are shows where you can tell they can't say fuck.
Yeah.
So they say shit 1,000 times more than anyone has ever said the word shit in reality.
Yes.
So, like, the bathroom scene where she just kept repeating everything is bullshit, I'm like, diversify your vocab, honey.
Also, son of a bitch this season.
Oh my god, that's Dustin's calling card.
Dustin tells off Mr. Pro Reagan.
Oh, Mr. Wheeler. Yeah.
The worst dad ever.
I hate him so much.
Oh, he's awful.
He is the least likable character on this show, full of terrible things.
I was hoping that Mrs. Wheeler was going to get more agency this season.
Yeah.
Because in the first season, it really kind of set her up as, like, really at odds.
Mom.
Yeah, as a good mom and at odds with her husband.
Yes.
And this season,
I wanted them to get a divorce.
And this season, she just gets a weird
on.
flirtatious moment with a bully.
Ugh! Billy is like 17.
And they have this like awkward Mrs. Robinson
And
moment.
he's like, oh, is Nancy home? Is her sister? Are you her sister? And she's like,
Ah.
But yeah, it's just I'm sorry. Mike's dad is a piece of shit, and I hate him.
But anyway, Nancy takes all her anger out on Steve, who's just trying his best to support her.
Who's really just like trying to like make her feel better about it, even though she does feel that like he doesn't do anything wrong.
Yeah.
You know.
And then so she ends up getting down with Jonathan.
Okay, the creepiest thing about that is because it was at the behest of Brett Gelman.
Yeah. Because an older guy who believes in conspiracies told
They go and visit him, and they're like, and he's like, "Oh, you can spend the night. You can share the bed."
Basically his bunker.
Yeah, and he's like, "You can share the bed," and they're like, "Oh god, we're not, no," or whatever.
And then they have this weird moment of tension. Will they? Won't they?
Yeah, and Brett Gelman, this older man who they don't know, is like, I know y'all are gonna have sex later.
He definitely
just go ahead.
Put cameras in those rooms.
He also was plying them with alcohol. There was a lot of moments where like I was uncomfortable with the children being in this situation.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
they were just those kids were written very as very stupid.
Yeah.
In those scenes.
And I mean, I'm not saying they don't have good sexual tension.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's fine. It was very satisfying when they finally kissed or whatever. But I have no convictions about those characters. And I liked both of them in the first season, and now I don't.
It's a love triangle that didn't need to be a love triangle.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But thankfully, Steve became the like breakout MVP.
Okay, but she never broke up with Steve.
No.
Also, at the end of the season, he's like, "Oh, hey, Nancy, we're still boyfriend and girlfriend." She's like, "Ay, ay, ay, ay."
That is exactly the noise she makes.
Yeah. But yeah, Steve did not think he was gonna get a good plot because he was really only defined by his connection to Nancy the first season.
Well, in the first season, he had some real character development.
He did, I know. But I think it wasn't having to do with the kids.
Right.
Or like the main mystery or whatever. So yeah, him like teaming up with Dustin was who knew?
Who knew that's what America needed?
I really, and it was kind of weird when he was like, you gotta feel that sexual electricity, 14-year-old. Like, you just gotta.
giving advice, giving Dustin ladies advice.
Yeah, but I love Dad Steve.
Oh, he is a very stressed out single mother.
All of the memes have been so on point. One was the cover of the Babysitters Club, photoshopped to have Steve on it, and it says Steve's scary situation. And then a senior quote from Steve, and it says, "It's hard being a single mom when you are a teenage boy with no children."
True.
Steve is the best. Can we talk about my journey? I don't want to make people uncomfortable, but I definitely had a journey of maturation, and I feel like I became a woman in the first season. Because, started out, I'm like, I don't gotta. Like in Mindhunter, I didn't pick anyone to be like, ooh, that's a hottie, because none of them were, because they were all creepy. But in Stranger Things, I'm like, Steve's gonna be my man.
Really?
Yes, at the beginning. And then I was like, I don't know. So then, like, halfway through, I was like, Jonathan's gonna be my man. And then I was like, he looks like a bog monster.
Jonathan looks like...
He looks like he's dying.
Dane
Slowly.
DeHaas on more cocaine.
Dane DeHaan?
That's it. Dane DeHaan.
Y'all, keep track at home how Wyeth pronounces names.
Stop.
Anyway.
This is embarrassing. I don't want to be like this.
Anyway, so midway through, I'm like, okay, Jonathan has similar music taste to me. And then by the end, I was like, ugh, I was wrong all along. It's the sheriff. So yeah. So I was like, I went from the high school jerk to the loner sad boy to the real MVP.
The true sad dad trying his best.
Yeah,
David Harbour is fantastic.
Good job.
Thank
you.
you.
Did it.
Thank you.
I was scared for a minute.
David Harbour and Michael Haneke, the two names I can't pronounce.
I guess, but yeah. So I have a very soft spot for Jim Hopper.
Mm-hmm.
Love him. He is he contains multitudes. He's a complex individual.
I did not know he was in Vietnam.
Yeah.
His character.
I didn't know that either, but they reveal it in such an interesting way because 11 goes down into like the basement and or attic or something, an area either above or below the home.
A basement.
And
because she pulls up the floorboards, and basements are always below the floor.
I just couldn't remember, bro.
I'm here for you.
Okay, anyway.
You help me with names, I help you with layouts of houses.
I know a basement is under things, okay? But she finds all these boxes, and one was his little girl,
mm-hmm.
and one was Vietnam, and one was something else.
Yeah.
You know?
I liked that they these two seasons, they've not like given us a scene of Hopper staring out into the middle distance and you hear like men yelling and gunfires.
Yeah, it
faintly.
was done very, very nuanced and
mm-hmm.
like subtle.
Yeah.
I liked it. It's not your usual like, war
War
leaves
is
a mark
hell.
on a man or whatever.
Yeah.
It's not cliched.
It explains how Hopper's able to run around with an assault rifle so naturally.
Yeah. And I mean, I like that because very, very rarely do we see male characters dealing with trauma. And when we
doing it well.
When we do, it's war related.
Yeah.
But this guy's trauma is not so much about his time in the war. It's about losing his daughter, which is such a more human connection and something so much more emotional than we would expect from like a gruff middle-aged male character.
Yeah. I love Hopper too.
Me too.
It's revealed that since last season, Hopper has been keeping 11 in his dad's old
It's like
cabin.
hunting cabin or something.
Way out in
And
the woods.
she has the cutest little head of curls. I love it.
Oh, so curly.
Adorable.
I was not expecting that.
No. She's so cute. And they just have dinners. And he goes home and takes care of her. And they live together.
He tries to. I think that because he is dealing with trauma of loss, that he is overprotective.
Yeah. He doesn't want her to get hurt.
Comes down a little too hard on her.
Mm-hmm. He's very much like parenting by trial and error, but to like an extremely endearing degree to the audience. Maybe not so much with 11.
And 11 is a terrifying daughter because she can kill you with her mind.
She can. Mm-hmm. I had a friend and they watched all of the season and they posted on Facebook. He only had 3 rules though.
That's true.
Like she kind of goofed. You know?
I think she did. I think they both could have been a lot more patient.
Yeah.
But also, Hopper was fair because she could have killed him.
Yeah, for sure. Well, and she could have been killed easily. Yeah. Like there were so many people out there hunting her, or so we're led to believe. You know. Yeah, I think that's my favorite relationship of the new season is Hopper and 11.
I can agree with that. David Harbour really does such a fantastic job nailing like the chief part of things, but also the dad part of things. Yeah. And there's some really moving scenes, like where he calls in to apologize to 11.
Yeah, and she's not there, which is terrible.
Oh yeah.
But my favorite scene is when she's like mad at him and like locked herself in her room and he's like, I'm gonna sit out here and eat all this Halloween candy. I could have a heart attack. I'm just gonna sit here and get fat unless you stop me. Okay, I'm doing it or whatever.
Yeah.
It's very sweet. This show has so much heart.
That's what elevates it beyond just like
genre fare.
Yeah, beyond we love the 80s, so here's something about the 80s.
Yeah. I think some characters are weaker than others. But overall, I think it's a really humane and has a lot of pathos.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, well, for me, this movie compares a lot to Super 8, but because Super 8 was just a movie, I didn't necessarily feel as connected. Like, the characters didn't feel as fleshed out. Like, it's a great movie, but the emotional punches don't always land with enough heft.
Yes, that's something I've thought about this for a long time. I think it would be so much harder to write TV because you have to have consistent character development. You have to have multiple arcs going at one time, an A plot and a B plot. You have to have an end game, like a big bad for a season if you're doing something like Buffy or this or whatever.
Yeah.
But I mean, I think it would be so difficult to, on a week by week basis or 10 episode basis like we have now with streaming to do something so consistently and juggle all those balls.
I've thought about that. I would be more stressed out by a movie because like when I write stories I get so stressed out about like making sure like I want to convey a lot of character in it, and with movie I would have to cut a lot.
Yeah, that's true. There are strengths and weaknesses on both.
Pros and cons, both sides.
But yeah, I mean, there's a reason this show is so popular, and I think it's because it hits nostalgia, but it's also good. Like I don't think overall, as a rule, and this has exceptions, obviously, things that are bad don't necessarily have the cultural impact as things that are good and enjoyed by many people.
I would agree with that. I mean, yeah, exceptions like somehow Transformers is still a thing.
Or some of the Marvel movies. Although, we're going to talk about a good one in a minute. But...
Okay.
All right, other things about Stranger Things. Other strange things.
Well, do we want to get into like more of the plot?
Sure.
So...
We didn't have a plan, I'm sorry.
We're just spitballing here.
Yeah.
Which
by
I'm-
the seat of our pants.
Which I feel like if you love us, you'll put up with us.
All right.
So as you know from the first season, Will comes back.
Poor Will. I really did not expect Will to have that good acting chops because he was in 2 episodes in the first season.
This is true.
He was gone most of the time, so I'm like, I don't know if this season gonna be focused on Will. I don't know. I don't know this child.
Was terrifying in this season.
Oh,
So
he
creepy.
Screamed so much.
Yeah, and his screams were terrifying.
It was awful. Oh my god, I hated seeing.
So
that.
Will comes back from the upside down, and things, of course, aren't normal.
Yeah.
But
they waited about 10 months.
Yeah.
Until they got weird.
Yeah.
Again.
Well.
They got super weird.
That's true.
Okay.
So, like at the beginning of at the end of season 1, Will hacks up
throwing up some slugs.
A slug, which is kind of like what I've been doing this weekend.
Ew.
Just coughing up that
gross, dude.
Don't think about it.
Anyway, so Will is obviously having residual effects from the upside down. It took me so long to think of that word.
But he got there.
My God.
That's what counts.
Okay, but
and he begins to have visions of the other side, and eventually he begins to see a looming.
From the other side.
This has been Adele.
A looming what?
A looming dark presence. This Lovecraftian
Shadow
creature
monster.
watching him.
It made the Demogorgon look like a little bitch, baby.
Which we get lots of those this season.
Yeah, Demodogs.
This
Demodogs, owner of the Dimsdale Dimmadome. That's what I was thinking
What?
the whole time.
What?
Wyeth was homeschooled and did not have a TV, so he did not watch Fairly Odd Parents, and there is a character on there called Doug Dimmadome, owner of the Dimsdale Dimmadome.
I would like to clarify that I was homeschooled until 2nd grade.
Oh, I didn't know that. I thought it was the whole time.
Nope.
So, Dimmadome.
Dimmadogs.
Dimmadogs.
So we get to see the life cycle of a Demogorgon this season thanks to Dustin.
Yeah.
Dustin's Dimmadog.
Was it you that was like, oh, the slug that Will slurped out into the sink is D'Artagnan? No.
That was not me.
Okay. Someone said that to me and I'm like, no, certainly not.
But I definitely believe he threw up a Demogorgon.
Oh, yeah, but I don't think it was that one.
No.
Because it wouldn't have taken a year for it to still be little and then all of a sudden grow or whatever. Anyway.
Well, maybe they were only growing because the presence of, like, the shadow creatures was strengthening.
Yeah.
Because Hopper begins to investigate crops dying.
Yeah.
And
that's what my porch looked like. All of my pumpkins were getting gross.
All the pumpkins in Hawkins are beginning to rot.
And they
so
look
are the
so
trees.
cool.
Yeah.
I love it.
Like, it's very creepy. And it's discovered that there are tunnels.
Vines.
He's
drawing vines! And then I saw a meme where it was like pictures from vines.
R.I.P. Vine. A pure medium.
That's the burning of Alexandria for our generation, is them deleting Vine.
God.
I stole that. I'm sorry, I didn't make that up.
Well, listen, it's a very true assessment.
Anyway.
So of course, there's tunnels. They're infested with like the upside down kind of matter.
So it's like the upside down is encroaching in these tunnel systems into our world.
And of course, they're all stemming from the lab where 11 escaped.
Duh. Yeah, of course.
And while all this is going on,
she ripped a hole in the universe. That's what it is, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
And so while Hopper's off investigating X-Files style,
he's doing. Can you imagine Jim Hopper meets Fox Mulder? I'm gonna write the fan fiction. Stay tuned.
Check back for updates, because I feel like she's good on her word for fan fiction. So while all this is going on, it's Halloween in Hawkins.
Ooh, I loved the preview or trailer, whatever. That was like Thriller in the background.
Yeah.
That was an iconic piece of editing.
The four main boys.
The Foreman boys?
4 main boys.
Okay.
Will, Lucas, Dustin, Mike? Not Mike.
Yeah, you forgot about Mike, which is something I wanted to talk about. Mike has nothing to do in this season.
No, he
All
doesn't.
Mike does is be sad that 11 is gone,
Yes.
and then somehow get to go with the family into Will's hospital room.
Yep.
Why was Mike there?
Because Mike had nothing to do.
Yeah. Poor Finn Wolfhard. He's getting too big for his britches, and they're like, you know what? We're going to write you out.
Don't know if that's what happened, but
I
okay.
don't think it is. But I don't know. Yeah, Mike did not get a lot to do this season, and I was upset. He did have a lovely scene with Hopper, where Hopper has to tell him that he's been keeping 11 the whole year.
That was a great scene.
And Mike goes ballistic and starts crying and shit.
I really wanted more of Mike and Hopper
Yeah.
because since Mike's dad is such an absent father, that Hopper just plays dad to everyone.
Hopper and Steve.
Yeah, Steve is also
The fathers. I love it so much. Can we talk about... Okay, so I have a working theory that the real evil, which the shadow monster is a metaphor for, is Reagan conservatism. Because it starts like right before the election and it gets worse and worse when Reagan is elected.
I feel like that's not too far off the mark.
Thank you. And all the little black kid and all the little girls are being preyed upon, and the dad is useless, and he has a Reagan sign in his yard. It's all about that. It's about that.
About that. Let's make America great again, which is Reagan's actual campaign slogan.
Catch me writing my thesis about Reaganomics and Stranger Things. No, I'm not going to do that. But it would be good. It'd be a good one. Anyway, other things on the plot.
So yeah, Will is beginning to have visions, and while these are going on, his mom is dating
Joyce!
Is dating Samwise Gamgee.
Joyce is so wonderful.
A real mom MVP.
I love her so much.
Who does not care about her other son, Jonathan.
No, would you? No, you wouldn't.
True, that's true. Jonathan was gone for days, and she said
He's
nothing.
He's a milquetoast, Wyatt. But I would absolutely give my life for Winona Ryder. She has been with me my entire life. As a baby goth, she was there for me with Beetlejuice. As a frustrated teen, she was there for me with Heathers. Now I'm knee-deep in my reality bites phase where nothing matters and I can't get a real job. And soon, who knows, it might be Girl Interrupted up in here.
But where does Alien Resurrection fit in?
I didn't watch that shit, you know.
I feel like you're missing a critical piece of Winona history.
I disagree.
Hey, don't judge it until you try.
Oh my god, I'm not gonna watch that movie. But anyway, Winona Ryder is amazing. She has been extremely vocal about her issues with mental health, and she took a break and she went to college and she studied a lot of stuff that she loves and got some degrees, and now she's back. And I, for one, welcome her with open arms because she is an icon to me.
Yes.
Yep. She's a good mom, too.
So she's dating Samwise Gamgee, who we are at odds about.
Go ahead, tell your opinion.
I really like Sean Astin's character.
Sean Astin.
I really like Bob. I thought he was a nice burst of just like an everyday man, just kind of like someone who wasn't caught up in the drama. And when drama did catch up to him, he supported Joyce no matter what. Like, he didn't hesitate. He didn't balk. He was like, all right.
He didn't balk.
He was like, things are going terribly right now, but what can I do to help?
I mean, yeah.
But also, every sentence out of him was to drive the plot forward. And I never felt like he got enough of his own character. Like, oh, I can reboot the system, or it's a map of Hawkins, or you should face the shadow monster.
I hate Bob so much.
Why?
He is so annoying and so one note and I would hate him if I knew him in real life.
Does that Mayberry wholesomeness?
He's so overly like, well, gee golly gee, I'm just gonna go and love on my girlfriend Winona Ryder and try to be too cool with her sons, and I like electronics, and I work at Radio Shack. Oh my god, I'm so scared. I have zero patience for people in these kinds of movies that are not in the loop and are like, what's going on? Shut up. It doesn't matter. And I know he does help. I know he does. But he is, like, the embodiment of, like, the lamest middle-aged white dude I've ever seen. And he's so lame. And I would hate him. And he's trying so hard with those kids to get them to like him. And I'm like, no. And also, he basically gets Will possessed. Because so Will is having these visions of this scary thing, of this scary shadow monster in the field, and Bob is like, well, you know, when I was a kid, I had dreams about a clown that I didn't like, so in my dreams, I turned around and I said, go away, and he went away, and all is well.
To be fair, Bob had no idea that this was a Lovecraftian monster
I
from the
know,
other side.
but Will takes his advice, gets his ass possessed.
Basically, Lynn hates any man who isn't sad and trying their best.
What? I hate some of those too. What are you talking about?
If they aren't Jim Hopper or Steve.
Oh my god. Steve isn't sad.
Steve is so sad.
No, Steve's just trying to look
he
out for his
shows up
kids.
with roses trying to pave things over with
He's
Nancy.
not as sad as some other men.
That's
okay,
true.
like he has issues with his 16-year-old girlfriend. But anyway, yeah, not a fan of Bob. And I know everyone loves him. Everyone, but I'm not here for it.
The
I'm
real
glad
1%
he's
over
dead.
here. Jesus, he died in such an awful way.
I don't care.
You're a monster.
Okay. Also, Joyce and Hopper belong together, so.
Okay. I mean, yes.
He was an obstacle. Also.
Wow. What are you, late stage capitalism?
What?
Just,
What does that mean?
you know what it means.
No, I don't. I make capitalism jokes all the time, and I have no idea what you're referring to in that moment. But anyway.
The big surprise for me this season was Paul Reiser was not a bad guy in the end.
Kind of was, though.
He kind of was, but in the end,
He did forge some documents.
for Hopper,
Which must have been so hard when it was all Xeroxing.
Oof, I can't imagine.
No, me neither. But yeah, it was a good supporting cast.
Yeah, like no one really felt like a weak link other than Nancy and Jonathan.
Yeah.
And
I mean,
the
even
parts.
Billy, because I hate him so much, like that's a testament.
But
to
he
his
was so
acting.
great to hate.
You know, like if I was indifferent and like, who's this Joker?
Mm-hmm.
You
So,
know?
continuing on with the plot, Will becomes possessed and
Because of Bob.
and becomes the speaker for this Lovecraftian entity.
Okay, so poor Joyce has to burn the shit out of her son.
Because the shadow creature or whatever likes to keep things cold.
Same.
And Joyce is
That's
like,
how I learned I was a
I'm
shadow
going to-
creature.
I knew it.
Mm-hmm.
And Joyce is like, all right, we're going to get every space heater ever and place them in a summoning circle around Will.
Mm-hmm. And Will just starts screaming, and Joyce is like turning it up, like it's very scary.
She cranks it.
She like looks at a picture of Bob, and she's like, and I'm like, ugh, don't take that out on your son. Like I know this is the good thing, and then Nancy, he's like. Will is like choking his mom, and Nancy stabs him in the side with a hot poker, and I'm like, that's a little too far, miss.
Yeah, that...
He's a child. He may be possessed, but he's a baby. He's a baby, gotta love him.
Just a wee child who's spent most of the season screaming.
Oof. Well, and I mean, I think it's clear that this season is about his post-trauma.
Yeah.
He's having flashbacks, he can't sleep.
People are calling him Zombie Boy.
Yeah, it's about him having PTSD. That's yeah.
Season 3 will be about him having more of that.
Yeah, I saw a post and it was like, Season 3 Stranger Things proposal. Will Byers has a good day.
I like it.
Oh
I
my
support
God,
it.
That's so sad.
Huh? So while Mike is being useless and following Will around, Dustin and Lucas get a lot more screen time.
Yeah.
Especially Lucas. I felt like Lucas got
Oh my
nothing
God.
in the first season.
Yes. He was the Winston of the group,
Yeah.
which they kind of call out in this series.
So I like that Lucas gets his own story arc
And
with
love
Max.
interest.
Yeah.
Very sweet.
That was sweet.
Adorable.
Dustin finds a Demogorgon and adopts it because, as you do in Hawkins,
Oh my God. That kid.
he now has his 2 front teeth.
Yeah.
He's purring everywhere.
There was so much phlegm in my throat just then.
There was. I heard it.
I don't know. I can't do it well. But yeah, he's at the end of the show, they all go to the dance, and Dustin's like trying to get ladies, and they're like, "No, I don't want to dance with you," or whatever.
That was a good lumpy space princess voice.
And there was a meme, and it was like when those girls wouldn't dance with Dustin at the snowball, and then it was a YouTube thumbnail, and it said, "Almost threw hands with a 13-year-old."
I like that Nancy came over and danced with him.
Yeah, that's sweet.
That was a good
okay.
moment for Nancy in a season of bad moments.
Yeah, for sure. Oh my God. Yeah, Lucas. Can we talk about the actual best character?
We've already talked about Steve.
Lucas's sister, Erica.
Oh my God! How could I have forgotten the breakthrough star of Stranger Things season 2?
Like, you nerd, and she just calls people nerds, and she is amazing.
She gives the hardest call out.
She's so funny. And Dustin is trying to get Lucas's attention on the walkie-talkie, and Eric is playing in his room, and she's like, "Why you want him? Quit! No, he's not in here. He's not home. Quit talking to me."
While she's making like He-Man and a Penguin kiss.
Yeah, and she's like, "They're in love. Get out of my room." I love her so much.
I saw that it's confirmed she's going to be back for season 3.
Thank God. Erica's the best character. Nothing better happened to Erica.
You just know it. She's the one to defeat the
third Demogorgon.
She's going outsass the monster.
Demo-Penguins.
Mm-hmm.
Demo-Penguins.
While 11 just can only go full Akira, she's going to wade into the Upside Down and just give a piece of her mind.
I hate that movie.
Really?
It's gross, and it has a sad ending. Didn't like it.
Well, I love that movie, so.
Okay.
So a real Evil Dread classic split.
Can we talk about Goth 11?
I was about to bring that up, as I feel like I could hear across Stillwater Lynn yelling, "Yes, girl!" like waving her hand as soon as Levin went full goth.
She looks so cute. She has all of her little eyeliner on. And that was something, people had pointed this out in the first season, that she had no concept of what a friend was, but she wanted to be pretty.
Yeah.
And that kind of don't shake out to me. You know, she, like, I feel like someone who was raised in a hospital who was bald and was in a hospital gown her entire life would not really have any concept of feminine appearances and stuff like that. So, like, and I mean, that's nitpicky or whatever, but when she's like, pretty, and they're all like, "You are pretty, oh my God," and all that, and she's like, "Ah, that girl," and everything. But in this one, she went from pretty to bitchin', which is a step up.
Again, I was so annoyed by everyone in that episode that I was not a fan of her goth appearance.
Oh, come on! She's bitchin'. She looks good. I don't know. I feel like it was like her like fully coming into her badassdom.
But that was only because of the other punks.
No, I think, well, when she comes back to Hawkins, that's like a pretty badass move, where she's like, "No, I'm not gonna do this. I'm not gonna like kill people with you or join your gang. I'm gonna go save my friends." And then she shows up like the avenging angel she is.
That was a great moment.
Black trench coat and eyeliner, and she's like, I'm here, bitches.
Steve,
deal
in
with
a
it.
DJ Khaled voice. Another one.
That's what you just said. Yeah, Steve doesn't know who 11 is.
Nope. Just another child to take care of.
No one told him about it. But yeah. And then without bitching, we wouldn't have had that lovely moment in the car with Hopper where he's like, "What's this about? Why are you looking like this? Where you get those clothes?"
I'm glad that he called her out on the
What, are you a
ridiculous
punk
outfit.
now?
Yeah.
And she's like, "Bitching." He's like,
I
"It is pretty bitchin'."
love the moment with Eleven and Hopper in the elevator.
Which one? There are many of them.
The one that I just said in the elevator.
Well, at the
as
end?
you were interrupting me as I was speaking.
At the end?
Yes!
Okay, I didn't... When you say elevator, I think of like a regular elevator.
Nope, in the elevator as they work
Yeah.
to close a portal.
Yeah.
That was a very satisfying climax.
Mm-hmm. Very good.
So,
in the end, Hopper adopts her.
Mm-hmm.
Which is...
Officially.
Extremely beautiful. And made me cry a little bit.
I teared up quite a bit at this season.
Would they still call her 11 or Jane? There was a
Twitter poll, yeah.
and I said Jane is a good middle name.
Oh, that is a good option.
11 Jane Hopper.
She'll always be 11 to me.
Yeah, L. Love it. Other thoughts about this season? Anything else?
It's so good. I'm happy that all the characters from the first season, except for Nancy and Jonathan, had like their story arcs from the first season carried onward and outward in this season.
Except Mike. I'd say no for Mike.
Yeah, except Mike too.
Mm-hmm.
The Wheeler family, not so much.
Yeah. Oh yeah, there's this really cool thing Spotify is doing where they will analyze your listening history and give you a playlist based on like which character from Stranger Things that you listen to music most like.
Yeah.
And it is lit. So good.
I got Jonathan.
I thought I'd get Jonathan.
Who'd you get?
Max.
Huh. Nice.
What was on the Jonathan playlist?
I think I got Jonathan because I had been listening to was it Elegea by
New Order?
Yeah, New Order. I've been listening to that recently.
Mm-hmm.
Just been stuck in my head. And because in the first season, that's the song where he and Nancy like gear up.
Ooh, okay. Cool beans. See, yeah, I thought I would be Jonathan because like all first season he's like Talking Heads, The Clash, Echo and the Bunnymen, Joy Division, and I'm like, yeah, that's me.
It's real you aesthetics.
But Max was great.
Girl power.
Well, it's like punk and surf rock and California.
Like, is it like the Runaways?
No, I wish. It's like some Beach Boys, some Stiff Little Fingers, some Offspring, some and like Buzzcocks.
Okay, that's also you.
It's really solid, like punk and ska. Love it. It's great.
Yeah.
Plus like California Dreamin' and Hazy Shade of Winter.
Sounds about right.
Rad. So take a look at that. It's awesome.
I'm ready for season 3.
Me too. They'll probably make us wait 2 years or something.
Here's my prediction for season 3. 8 is going to become
the villain.
Yeah. She's going to track down 11, and when she's in Hawkins, she's going to be possessed by, or not even in Hawkins. She's going to be possessed by the smoke monster, whatever. Because when it unpossesses Will, that thing disappears into the night.
Yeah, which is like a common trope in like possession stories. It's like, oh, I'm smoke now and I'm gonna go away. Like, where you go?
Well, I think we're going to find out. It's coming for you, 8.
Well, the shadow monster's hanging out of the snowball.
Yeah, so, lurking on the upside down. Catch me on the upside down.
Oh my god, on the flip side. So yeah, overall, extremely positive thoughts from us on Stranger Things season 2.
I thought it was way scarier than the first season.
I agree. Just because it was more personal. Like,
I genuinely thought a main character would die. I mean,
yeah, me too.
Justice for Bob. But I thought like one of the old guard was going to die.
Yeah, should have been Jonathan.
This should have been. Let's be honest. This season was very much like Aliens, especially in the tunnel scene.
Yeah. It's like, oh, you thought there was one. Now there's a big one and a bunch of babies.
Yep.
You know?
Yep.
But
we won't spoil that surprise.
One of my favorite tweets ever about Stranger Things, it was, started Stranger Things season 2, but my dumbass hit play on season 1, episode 1, and I was like, what, he's gone again?
I do.
This boy can't stay in his home.
Poor Will. Keeps getting lost.
He's gone again? But yeah. Alright, you want to move on to Thor 3?
I would love to. So we're just going...
Also, can I just say, I'm sorry, I kept thinking of, I was going to say this and then I kept losing it. Because I'm a crazy person. But, we going to talk about The Punisher in like 2 weeks.
Oh yeah.
Netflix has been killing the goddamn game as of late. Mindhunter was everything. It was so good. Fuck House of Cards. If you want your Fincher fix and you don't want to be complicit in some sexual abuse.
I hear that Kevin Spacey is being written out and it's just going to be Robin Wright.
As it should have been the whole time. I was a big Kevin Spacey stan also, but no longer. Not since I learned about that a few years ago. I was a big American Beauty person. That's my favorite movie for such a long time.
I used to be a big Kevin Spacey fan too.
Do you not know what a stan is?
I do not. That's why I said stan ?
Well, I thought you were just like expressing incredulity at my level of being a stan.
What? No.
Okay, so that came from... Alright, anyway. That came from the Eminem song Stan, and it means like a really big fan, and you'll just like defend them.
Oh,
you know? But people are like, Beyonce stans, so they'll listen to everything she does, watch all of her videos, all that stuff. So it's like a colloquial term for like a huge fan or something. But yeah, so anyway, Mindhunter, watch that instead of House of Cards if you like your shows weirdly lit and kind of sepia tone and very cold.
Yes.
But Mindhunter kicked ass, Stranger Things 2 kicked ass, and I cannot wait for The Punisher.
I really have high hopes for The Punisher. I thought he was great. John Berthal did such a great job with him in season 2 of Daredevil. The best part about season 2.
I was promised in Daredevil season 2 that I would get a compelling narrative about the Punisher. Instead, I got ninjas in this hospital, and I do not give a damn about that. Okay? You gotta skip to whenever John Bernthal's on screen.
That's true.
Or else
I will
there's
agree.
some weird
As much as I love
bullshit.
Matt Murdock,
yeah,
he was hard to put up with season 2. But my fear is, now that we live in a Danny, whatever his face is, glowing
Fist.
iron. We live in an Iron Fist world. That show was so bad.
I didn't watch it.
It's terrible.
I didn't care for ninjas and Daredevil, so I'm not gonna watch a whole show about ninjas. But yeah.
So
no, thank you.
I will reserve judgment until I see the finished Punisher product.
Well, I mean, just them using One by Metallica in the trailer,
Which
I was like,
has been a lifelong
yes.
favorite of mine.
I can't wait. I would love for that show to be a kind of thematic companion to Jessica Jones. I like have a title in my Word document of trauma and recovery in The Punisher and Jessica Jones.
I hope
think
that it's not just a shoot 'em up show, but it's actually like Frank Castle wrestling with Am I a Good Person?
Oh, I think it will be. I mean, I hope so. Because that is so compelling to me. The best part of Daredevil season 2 was the whole, and I know it's cliche by this point, but like you're one bad day away from being me and all that stuff, and kind of just like, is there any really difference? Okay, like, and are we gonna pretend that Matt Murdock has not at least put people into wheelchairs?
Oh, he absolutely killed. He killed a man at the end of season 2.
He's like, I don't kill though, and Frank Castle is like, for real though, you like throw people off buildings, like, and then you just walk away. You may not see them die, but like,
out of sight, out of mind.
At least they are paraplegic for life. Like, come on, bro. Anyway, watch out for our Punisher. I'm sure I'm gonna talk about it at length at some point. But Thor 3.
Thor 3. Last week we covered Taika Waititi's What We Do in the
My
Shadow,
boyfriend.
and now he is a multimillionaire.
I'm so happy for him.
I'm
I read it was in one of those box office
Yeah.
roundups, and it was like his most successful movie to date was Hunt for the Wilder People, which made $5 million.
Jesus.
Only $5 million. And now he's doing Thor 3.
To
Which
be fair,
did
I've heard
120
120 million one
this weekend.
I
Yeah.
don't know what the international gross is.
Yeah. Well, Taika's like New Zealander of the Year or something.
Pretty much.
So.
Like I feel like New Zealand's just throwing a constant parade right
I
now.
love it. I love it so much. He deserves it.
Thor 3 had the best on-screen 1980s laser tag aesthetics I've ever seen.
I was trying, and we talked about this at dinner afterwards, but I was trying to like find something to compare it to that isn't a Marvel movie.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because it doesn't feel like one. It feels like a sci-fi action comedy. And I'm thinking closest would be like Bill and Ted. It's like a more intergalactic, like superhero.
It's a real zany romp.
Yeah. Like, I mean, they're not meeting like Socrates or anything like that.
Yeah.
But
I liked it a lot.
They're meeting Jeff Goldblum.
It was definitely up there with like Guardians for me, which is also a very non-Marvel movie.
Yeah. That's something, and we talked about this in class recently because we had a horror week and our professor doesn't know jack shit about horror, so we were talking about it. And I think there's something to be said about decrying these huge like properties that just go sequel into the ground, like Friday the 13th or Nightmare on Elm Street or something like that. But I do think if done right, if you get a smart person behind the camera and in the writer's chair, you can use that name recognition of being part of a franchise to do something really interesting with the sequels. And I feel like this is like the Dream Warriors of Marvel.
I'm going to go out on a limb here and say that I think Marvel gets a bad rap for being kind of repetitive when there's actually a lot of character between the different movies. Like, one of my favorites is not one of the more favorites, like Joe Johnston's first Captain America movie. Like, it feels like kind of this wholesome, old school World War II flick, and I really love that. It reminds me a lot of his movie, The Rocketeer. And so I think a lot of the Marvel movies are just like able to let the directors make their own vision of these Marvel properties.
I think kind of. I feel like there's probably so much control taken by like Kevin Feige and stuff like that.
But like at the end of the day, Shane Black still got to make
his Christmas movie. Yeah. Every Shane Black movie is a Christmas movie.
And they're all great.
Have you noticed that?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I love it.
That's his thing. I can't wait for his new Predator movie.
Oh, yeah. Christmas Predator. Predator comes to town.
I would pay money. And yet, Taika got to do his brand of humor.
Yeah, which Al said that she was surprised he wasn't credited as writer, and I was too. I feel like there was probably a lot of lines being fed and day of improv and stuff.
Oh, absolutely. The scene where Thor tells the snake story.
Oh, God, that was so funny, and I forgot about it.
As a child, I found a snake, and I love snakes, so I went over and I grabbed it, and as I was picking up, Loki turned into himself, was like, "Mwah!" And...
He scared me. He stabbed me. Yeah, it was just so unexpected. Because I think I was one of the rare people that really liked Thor 2. Because I'm going to use this word again, so prepare. It means super fan. I was a Loki stan back in the day. I was never a creep. I was never one of those people on Tumblr.
Are you saying you didn't go see Thor 2 for the criminally underrated actor Chris O'Dowd?
Oh, I don't give a fuck about
that.
Like, I don't care.
That was a joke because I love Chris O'Dowd.
All right.
And was so excited to see him in that.
Okay, interesting. No, I just think, like, the first one was it's Kenneth Branagh. It was very Shakespearean.
I liked the first one.
Me too. It was good. Second one kind of lost that. It didn't really have an identity in terms of, like, style or tone. I did really like what they did. I think Loki is a great character, and I love seeing him in all of these movies. but he was the best part of the second one, obviously. And
Yeah.
then this one, I would not have gone to see it if I didn't know Taika was directing it.
That's fair. Although I like Marvel movies, like I go and see them in theater. But I was very excited about this because I'm a big fan of Mark Ruffalo as a Hulk,
Mhm.
and he has a
The
big part.
ruffles.
I do like the ruffles. He has a big
There
part
could
in
have
this.
been more ruffles, though.
I think so too.
It was mostly Hulk, and I was reminded why no Hulk movie has done well is because that he is boring.
Yes.
But he is Hulk. He just destroys things and
He's good
mumbles.
for action scenes,
Mm-hmm.
but
Use him sparingly.
yeah.
Because then the impact is gone
Mhm.
too. But I think yeah, I love this. I feel like they really took a chance on Taika and let him do his own thing, which is good. I think I agree with you that certain films can really succeed in a way that's unexpected, like Winter Soldier.
Mhm.
I love that. It was more of a comment on the police state
Yeah,
and
it was surprisingly
surveillance,
thoughtful.
and it was a really great movie. And I love Bucky Barnes too. Those are my two boys. But I feel like something like the new Avengers or like Avengers 2 and then the new ones, they shoehorn in so many characters that it becomes so bland. You know what I mean?
No.
I did, yeah. Ultron, there were so many people in that movie.
Ultron had suffered from other things, but not for because each character. I think Marvel is one of the few things where each of the actors does such a great job with the characters that I don't worry about who's on screen. The plot, however, is what determines because if everyone's good,
Mm-hmm.
then it's the plot that's doing a disservice.
Okay. I'm.
Like, there's so many people in Civil War.
Yeah.
But Civil War was so good.
Okay. I disagree. I don't know. I'm afraid that the newest Avengers movie is gonna be like a cast of 60, and no plot will be able to like serve all of those characters in that way.
The track record says otherwise. Like they have a good track record, but I am very worried about overstuffing.
Mm-hmm. Well, anyway, let's talk about Thor 3. There were a few ways I think it could have been improved,
The
but they were
pacing,
nitpicky.
yeah, the pacing was jarring because whenever Thor was on screen, things were moving and things were fun, but sometimes cut over to Helena.
Hella.
No, Helena, as in My Chemical Romance.
No, it's just Hella, dude. Oh my god. Yeah, okay, so Kate Blanchett plays Hela, the goddess of death, and she is amazing.
She loves her some knives.
Oh my god, she's so hot too. I want to look like her. Everyone in this movie was my spouse.
In
also.
the words of Spike Spiegel, I love a woman who can kick my ass.
Yeah, like Jeff Goldblum was my husband. Taika is also my husband.
I feel like this movie had the most fun behind the scenes.
Like
everyone seems to
Tessa
be having
Thompson
fun.
Is my wife. Like
Mm-hmm.
It was a great collection of actors playing really fun characters, but I don't think it jived as well as it could have at some point.
Yeah.
Like Hela could have been more interesting. It seemed like they were killing time a lot of the time with her for Thor to return.
Carl Urban's character could have done more.
I did not care about him.
He was presented as kind of like a character we were supposed to care about, but he didn't really get to do a lot of things.
No, and like
he
I
had
could
some
tell
funny
him
lines though.
His turn coming from a mile away. It was obvious.
I wish
Super
that
telegraphed.
Anthony Hopkins, because at the beginning
he was amazing.
I
loved it.
Him playing as Tom Hiddleston as
Loki playing
as Odin was so good, and I would have loved to have seen more of that.
I love that this movie isn't afraid to put comedy first.
Yeah.
I mean, you don't really get a romp like this
very
often in superhero movies.
Heroic expectations a lot of the time. Like where Mark Ruffalo jumps out of the spaceship.
I was so upset. I clutched my chest.
I noticed. At one moment,
leaned forward.
Mark Ruffalo's like, I have to turn back into the Hulk to help my friends, and leaps out of a spaceship and you just see his body hit a bridge with a
like the most force of like a person jumping.
like you hear him break every bone.
It was terrifying. I didn't like it.
Like
Did he turn back at the end of the movie?
I don't know.
I don't recall.
I don't think so.
They said that like if he changed again, he may not be able to change back.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't care to see the Hulk anymore. I want to see Mark Ruffalo.
Right.
Be
We all love
cute.
the Ruffles.
He's great. Yeah, it was just an incredibly fun movie in a very unexpected way.
Mm-hmm.
It felt like it felt like What We Do in the Shadows in Asgard, you know?
What We Do in Asgard, yeah.
What We Do in Asgard.
There's some fantastic cameos.
Oh my god, very unexpected.
Yeah, very unexpected.
What's up, Matt Damon?
Oh, hey, Sam Neill, my scientist father.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. So yeah, it's definitely worth going to see.
Oh yeah,
I
feel like Taika directs from a very pure style of movie.
Yes.
Like the humor has heart.
Mm-hmm. And it felt like an ensemble comedy more than a huge overblown blockbuster.
I think that Thor is the Mr. Peanut Butter of the Marvel world.
Oh my god. And Loki's BoJack.
Yes. Yes.
Just self-destructive and like,
you're welcome, Tumblr
demented
fanfiction.
And evil. I didn't know Chris Hemsworth could be that funny.
He's hilarious.
I had no idea.
Well, he's basically a dumb golden retriever.
Well, he was funny in Ghostbusters. And I feel like that was probably when they were like, all right, we're going to make it funny. But I don't know. He saved... Thor was always pretty boring to me. But he really saved it this time.
Yeah.
And there were some great reaction shots from Loki. It was very funny. It didn't sacrifice the backstory. Also, they made reference to, what's that called? It starts with a C. Continuity. They made reference to continuity a lot, like when Thor is fighting the Hulk and he gets like thrown around like ragdoll. Loki's like, "That's how it feels." Yeah, that happened to me in the Avengers, and I hated it.
That was a great moment.
Very good. Can we talk about Goldblum?
Please. Goldblum is the despot of this alien gladiatorial.
Use the word despot. I like it.
Gladiatorial junkyard planet.
He's the Grand Master. Is that it?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I just realized that's a KKK term. Just saying that. I didn't even think about that. That's
I feel like the KKK have co-opted it.
From Jeff Goldblum?
Yes, because Jeff Goldblum is
millions
timeless.
And millions of years
we are all Jeff Goldblum.
I agree. I mean, he's been
Jeff
haunting
Goldblum
my dreams.
Is a part of all of us.
Yeah. I had a dream where we were at a party, and I was like, there's a 30% chance we're going to hook up tonight. And he was like, oh, wow, I don't know. Well,
I'm sorry, could you please lean
Jeff
into the
Goldblum.
mic and do that again?
Oh, yeah, I don't know about that. And then I had one Friday night, and I went and interviewed him at his Nevada underground mansion. He lived in the caves of Nevada with his wife and baby.
Wild.
Anyway, it was lovely. He was amazing in that movie. He was so funny and so like...
I feel like the audience that we were in a very small...
it was packed.
It was packed.
Oh, I hated it.
It was composed of like kind of small town people who might not get a dry sense of humor.
It was comprised of dumbasses who do not understand sophistication in their comedy.
That's
what you're saying?
A Rick and Morty fan?
That's what you're saying right now. No, but we were the ones who were laughing most at Jeff.
There were a lot of humor beats that no one laughed except the three of us. Yeah. So it was very awkward.
It was like basically it was watching the guy from the apartments.com commercial run Planet.
Pretty much, yeah.
The guest star from Tim and Eric, Jeff Goldblum Man Group, running. He did look like the Blue Man Group. He had some blue eyeliner and nail polish on. He looked good.
He had a real aesthetic about him.
He was super hot in this movie. Everyone was really hot in this movie.
I was constantly staring at Chris Hemsworth's like bicep muscles.
Okay, I was not.
They're huge. Well, in case you missed it, they're huge.
We're really the Kinsey scale is going crazy in this
It's all
room
over
right
the
now.
place.
Who knows? I mean, we're all fluid, you know. But yeah, even Chris Hemsworth looked cute, and I am not
thanks.
one to be into him. Oh, the great joke when they go to Earth to find Odin because Loki has stashed him there, and Loki like something magical happens, and Chris Hemsworth is like, "Was that you?" And he's like, "No, I'm not a witch." And he's like, "Then why do you dress like one?" Because he's like all black suit, and I'm like, "Ah!" I was gagged.
Well,
It
even
was
though
great.
Doctor Strange shows up,
Oh, I don't give a fuck about him.
and my capacity for putting up with the batch is about at max.
None.
I still thought that Chris Hemsworth's like reactions
They were good.
priceless
They were good.
during that whole shenanigan.
When Doctor Strange came on screen, I leaned over to Al and I whispered, "I hate this motherfucker." And she started giggling.
Sounds about right.
We were disruptive, but I do hate him.
I don't know why people hate him. Like, is it just have we had our fill of the batch?
Turned. It happened with him. Happened with Jennifer Lawrence.
But did Cumberbatch do something?
I think his fandom ruined him.
That seems shitty.
I know, but it happens.
That doesn't mean it should. We shouldn't let fandom dictate whether we enjoy something.
He became so overrated, and people were so weird about him, and just like saying he's the hottest man on earth, which no one looks like that.
He's in all the biopics.
He may be the hottest man on Jupiter, but he's ugly. All right, like I don't know. And he was in everything, and he wasn't particularly good in everything. And Sherlock went downhill, and everyone was pissed about it. And so I don't know.
Maybe.
Oh, also whitewashing. People being like,
what?
There was calls to make Doctor Strange an Asian American person, and which isn't how it is in the comics.
So that's not whitewashing.
Well, okay, they did with Tilda.
That is whitewashing.
Yeah, so there was a controversy around that.
But that's not Batch.
And I know, but people were like, they should not have cast Benedict Cumberbatch in this role because, you know, who cares? Like, it was just a backlash thing. It's same with Jennifer Lawrence. We all loved her for 5 minutes, and now she's annoying. Amy Schumer. Oof. Always happens. Always. That's why you shouldn't get too liked. Because then people will turn on you.
It's a really dark message.
Hated. So stay in a nice gray middle area where everyone kind of likes you, but like not that much, you know.
Or maybe you should just let fandoms not dictate things.
I mean, I'm definitely guilty of like really hating Benedict Cumberbatch just because I'm done with him. I'm done with him. I'm not gonna see The Imitation Game. I know it's like 2 years old. I'm still not gonna see it.
Here we are in 2017, still arguing about Benedict Cumberbatch.
But anyway, he shouldn't have been in this movie. They could have done some great Hela character development. I wanted Loki to team up with Hela, and then realize, oh no.
I thought that was where it was going.
Should have.
I'm okay that it didn't.
I don't know. I feel like there were some opportunities missed in the plotting.
The pacing was off, yes.
Like how Loki got to this planet at like a little bit before Thor, but instead of getting picked up by these like roving bands of bots or whatever who are either going to eat him or take him to fight in the arena.
To be fair, Loki's the god of mischief. Of course he's going to talk his way out of that.
I would have liked to see it though, because I was like, how are you like suddenly the right hand man to this guy? Like Jeff Goldblum. I don't think it does. Anyway, I'm not like mad at the movie. It's fine. But I think it would have been a little bit more compelling to have him be like, yeah, fuck yeah, I'm evil. I'm going to team up with Cate Blanchett. And then be like, oh, maybe I'm not that evil, you know? And then have this change of heart at the end. And turn on her or whatever. Would have been good.
Well, moving away from that. Walking away.
I don't
Making
know why.
my way downtown.
I don't know why you are.
Taika is in this movie.
Right. Yeah, he's good.
He plays a rock monster.
Yeah.
A better rock monster than any on-screen version of the Thing we've had.
Was he changing his voice? Because it seemed like much higher.
I think so.
It was a little higher.
It was a little bit more.
Nasal.
Yeah.
But yeah, he did some great voice work in this movie.
He had some real scene-stealing lines.
Yeah, I did not expect him to be as big a part of that film.
I'm in here because I tried to start a revolution, but I didn't make enough pamphlets.
Yeah.
Only my mom and her boyfriend showed up, and I hate him.
Yeah, very funny.
Very New Zealand dry.
He got to be in like the last shot of the movie.
Yeah.
Which was very unexpected for me. But like Al said, if you're the director, you can be like, more scenes with Rock Monster, perhaps.
Which,
I want it.
If you're Taika, I'm okay with.
Yeah, I'm fine with that. Could have used a bit more development on Valkyrie, Tessa Thompson.
Vanessa Thompson deserves a lot.
Tessa Thompson?
Tessa?
Yes. I don't do this. I'm not trying to be mean. I'm sorry.
God damn.
I'm sorry. I'm not trying to be mean. But, yeah, I loved her, but
she needed more screen time.
More depth. And, I mean, I know for a fact they've cut some scenes because she's talked about it. She's talked about her being canonically bi, and she asked Taika to shoot some stuff for that, and they did, but then it got cut. So, yeah, you said that the commentary is going to be real good, and I agree.
Oh yeah, it's going to be hilarious.
We need that director's cut with commentary. Yeah, man.
I was kind of expecting like a Fly the Conchords cameo.
From Britt and Jermaine?
Yes.
They could have been. You don't know.
I was kind of surprised that Jeff Goldblum's character was not Jermaine.
Aww. I wouldn't want to leave Jeff, though.
I don't either. But I also think Jermaine would have had a lot of fun with the role.
He would have, yeah. He was one of the good parts of Rick and Morty when he voiced that fart.
The cloud, yeah.
Yeah.
He had some amazing musical numbers.
Yeah. Do Brett and Jermaine hate each other?
No, they're on tour right now.
Oh, okay. I thought they weren't working together anymore.
No, they just kind of took a break.
Brett has an Oscar, right? He wrote the Muppet movie song.
Did it win? It should have.
It was at least nominated.
He did fantastic with that.
Okay.
I love the Muppet movie.
Okay.
You heard it here.
I've not seen it. Final thoughts about Thor 3?
Such a delight.
Not a fan of that shoehorning in at the end credits of like, oh, we're gonna come back with Thanos or whatever, and I don't care. There was even a moment when Cate Blanchett like found like the glove or what power glove, Nintendo power glove with
the Infinity Glove, yeah.
Yeah, with all the stones in it, and she's like, fake, and she like knocks it off of the pedestal, and I'm like, yeah, make your own mark with this movie. Don't like just make it a prelude to something else.
Or if you enjoy the Marvel Cinematic Universe, it's still good.
Yeah. I saw this quote, it was like a post, and it was like, do y'all really think any of these Marvel movies are going to make sense in 20 years since you have to watch 15 of them in a row for them to make sense? And then they were like, my grandkid is going to be watching Finn Wolfhard's sketch show on Crackle. He don't care.
Crackle, the platform of the future.
I guess.
Jesus.
Anyway, 2 thumbs up.
Enthusiastically.
From Thor 3. Very good, very funny. Made me laugh out loud. Oh, I pulled a Wyatt. Oh no! I said something. Made me laugh out loud every few minutes.
I feel like I need to see it again because I feel like the jokes came so fast that I caught only half of them.
Mm-hmm. It's gonna be a good rewatcher.
It's true.
All right. Any personal picks?
Well, to spite you in a very loving way.
To spite me?
To spite you. I finished The Leftovers. I thought it was very good. It has a happy ending. That's all I'm going to say about it.
I know it has a happy ending.
I was very surprised.
They got together or something.
Mm-hmm.
Cool beans.
I recommend it. It gets very weird and less sad.
It's resurrection shit, right? See, like Jesus.
People like start claiming that he's Jesus, and then they're proven to be wrong, which I liked.
Okay, interesting. So yeah, watch The Leftovers. You got that HBO Go. I have a personal pick. It is a podcast. It is called Deadly Manners.
Deadly Manners.
Deadly Manners. It is a fiction story podcast. It is in the form of like an old radio show. It stars Kristen Bell, narrated by LeVar Burton.
What?
RuPaul and Michelle Visage do some voices.
This sounds delightful.
Dennis O'Hare is in it.
Oh, wow.
So it is about a holiday party being thrown by this woman, I think her name's Valerie, and her husband, in like New England in the 1950s, and all of the guests are there, and she has a daughter who is she adopted from a country in Africa, and there are some senators there who are incredibly like McCarthy-esque and anti-Semitic, and then there are other people there who are Jewish. So it's like very much like culturally interesting and like politically aware of that era, which is odd for something like this.
So is the tone just like
someone ends
serious?
up dead.
Is it serious or like goofball comedy?
It's funny, but it has serious moments for sure. Like there was someone ends up dead, another person ends up dead. Like it's like every episode, like the story gets deeper, and they're snowed in, of course, and all that. And LeVar Burton is narrating it, and
sounds like a delight.
It's really interesting, but I mean, it's really unexpected when they talk about like, you know, being the black daughter of a white upper class family in New England in the 50s, or when one of the guests dies, the kind of McCarthy guy like starts saying anti-Semitic shit and stuff like that. So it's like I didn't give it enough credit to be that interesting and like politically aware. So it's a good one. RuPaul is in it, like I said. Kristen Bell does a lovely job.
I've really come to appreciate Kristen Bell.
Me too.
Through The Good Place.
Good Place. Another pick from both of us. Kicks ass.
It's on hiatus until January.
I don't care. I'm mad about it.
I'm mad too.
Ugh, God. I don't care about baseball.
It's football.
Why?
Baseball's over.
I thought...
Well, baseball doesn't play on NBC. Football does. And the World Series just happened.
I just realized when you were like, football is happening, I'm like, why? But like, that's a big question.
But why is this thing popular in our reality?
Why? Why is quality comedy less valued than sports?
Because it is 2017 and we are in the darkest
sucks.
timeline.
But yeah, it is quality podcast. Look it up. Deadly Manners. Good.
All right. This has been a very
long
stuffed episode. This might be our longest until our special Thanksgiving episode.
Oh, that's going to be long.
I'm so excited.
Yeah. So thanks for listening. What's on the docket for next week? I can check really quick.
It's your pick. It's The Frighteners, I believe.
Ooh, okay.
Which is a real underrated Peter Jackson classic.
I've been meaning to see it for a long time.
Peter Jackson
Have you seen it?
I've seen parts of it, and I remember liking it. So I'll have to reassess. Peter Jackson has a very dark side. If people don't know,
Brain Dead is crazy.
Brain Dead is amazing, but also the most over the top.
Yeah, it's The Frighteners next week, and then the next week is our Thanksgiving episode, which we will have to do some recording. Before that weekend.
We disappear, yeah.
Because that's crazy. Texas Chainsaw, Raw, and a Buffy episode called Pangs, which is wonderful.
I'm excited.
It approaches Thanksgiving as, well, you know, this is about genocide.
Ooh.
But in a very clever
Those are going
way.
to be two very grueling movies, I feel like.
Yeah, and then we're going to have a light episode of Buffy.
Yes.
About genocide.
Dessert.
Yes. Yep. Okay, thanks for listening. Tune in next week. See you around.
See ya.
Clearly behaved like a man demented, obsessed, utterly lost.